Wow, I can really hear that wind outside. I'm in a beach community, Goleta, that's where UCSB is, and the Santa Barbara Airport's in Goleta. Goleta is Santa Barbara County, but Santa Barbara's up the road. They don't have room for an airport. So we have it here because we're at the ocean and the planes take off over the ocean. Just like LAX or anything like that. Okay, what I did is I washed those brushes because I like to use a lot of different types of brushes. I also like to use my hands when I talk. I'm not Italian, I'm Hungarian. Okay, so what I did, does this look familiar? Well, this is all that paint. That's why I use the plastic. It's real easy. From Poor Richard's Almanac by Benjamin Franklin. If you haven't read it, buy it for your kids. This is all the paints, the burnt sienna and raw umber and medium and titanium white that I scraped off the plastic. Because believe it or not, I will wind up putting something, see I can put some Mars Black in there or some cerulean blue or something and create a whole new color and use it. So waste not, want not is the lesson. Poor Richard's Almanac. Okay, so now we have a clean palette. I'm not going to bore you. I'm going to turn the camera off. I'll turn it right back on as soon as I load up with the colors we're going to use next. What you've missed is I just wiped out the brushes on a towel that I have here, which by the way, don't use mom's good towels and think that you can just throw them in the hamper and she'll never know. She will know. These are old towels, rags. These are not good towels. Thank you. It's not a good car. Who cares? Well, it runs well. Anyway. So I wiped the brushes just to kind of get a lot of what was in there off. So they're more dry. So now I'm going in with more medium, which I put on the palette, and just a little bit, because this stuff's intense, a little bit of burnt sienna. And I'm seeing, I got movement there I like, I got some here, down here. We're going too many verticals, so because it's a car and it's moving at lightning speed because it has a V8 in it, I just want to do thing, and I'll shut the camera off in a minute because I don't want to have what we call mud. You got to let things dry. And yes, I got a white spot there. I got 1, 2, let's call this 3 and 4, 5 spaces. But it's really, this is actually needs some more light because that dark is too dominant. So I'm going with a lot of medium and some raw sienna in here and see if we can't get that away from doo-doo brown, which it seems to be. How do you do that? Well, you do a little dark brown on it with the hair. If you're afraid of getting your fingers dirty or with paint on them, don't do this. All right? There. X marks the spot, so to speak, but we'll take the X right out so it doesn't look like an X. It just takes your eye away from the chocolate brown goo-goo. But we'll put other colors over that, just like here. It all changes. I mean, I don't like brown, especially on a car. When I worked in the car business, we called it hang-around brown. In the used car lot, if you had a brown car, it would be there forever. Red ones, white ones, black ones, gray, they would go. But hang-around brown, I don't know. There's a reason they call it that. And I'm using that chip brush again, which I like, that the edge is jagged. Mick Jagged. That's Mick Jagger. Anyway, okay, that is the first episode. I want to thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and the next video will begin with where we're going to add our next colors on there. Some Payne's Gray, some yellow ochre, some blue, and that'll pull out, and we'll do washes. A lot of good stuff happening. So thanks again for watching, and please subscribe. The palette is now loaded with, I have titanium white and zinc white here, which I had some zinc white, so I put it, this is medium. I should show you. This is zinc white, titanium white, this is medium. That's a little burnt sienna. And this is some different dark grays, Payne's gray, and some ultramarine blue, which Payne's gray is essentially Mars black and ultramarine blue mixed together. But blue, because the dashboard's blue in this car, and this was, believe it or not, a blue car you saw in a previous video, I like to have a little blue in there. So now I'm going to go into these areas and do some highlights and fill in these white spots with a very diluted Payne's gray. So we're going to probably use a lot of medium here. I didn't mean to turn my back to the camera, but hey. And brushes. This is a 1-inch made in China, believe it or not, from Crayola. This is another chip brush, which, yes, I took the scissors to, so it gives me a nice little whatever I want to do. And then I have a, this is a real brush, an expensive brush. This is a Grumbacher bristle, and it's probably a 1/2 inch there, so I can do a little more detail. So what we're going to do is, it's always nice to kind of prime your brush, if I can use that term, with medium. So you do that. So we got some nice, and then we're going to take a little bit of this, I'll use this brush for that. I'm mixing up the black and the blue to get black and blue bruised. Payne's gray with a blue twist, so to speak. I'm just mixing that on the palette. Just kind of show you what I'm doing, I guess. So it looks black, but it's really dark gray, but when you dilute it with enough medium, it will be fine. But I can do a lot of contrast in here because I'm losing, because this is darker here, my focal point has moved to the rear passenger, the mother-in-law, so to speak. But here I want to bring in some dark, and I'm going to, you'll watch how I pull the focal point back to the front door and some honey bunny sitting there. Okay, so we got some medium on there, and we got some gray, and you just kind of have fun in there, and kind of, again, the medium is like a thinner for the paint. And I really need a dry brush. I'm cheating, I'm grabbing a dry brush. Sorry, here we go. And I can blend better with that dry brush. So now I'm running 4 brushes. And I really don't want to have brush strokes. So I don't want to have a stroke period. All right, there. Now really move this down with medium a lot. I've got plenty of Payne's gray on the brush, but I want to do some. See, there's the gray. Yeah, there we go. Just kind of fill in. And the thing is you don't want to go in the same direction. Again, you're not painting your bathroom or your living room or your kid's room. You're just kind of creating depth with light and dark. I put a little more Payne's gray on the brush, so it'll be a little darker down here, which is fine because it's going to go into flat black. And we'll do some. Yeah, there we go. Now I got something to work with. Yeah, again, it's dark, but don't worry. Don't worry. That's what good old medium is for. Get the gray in there. And then you'll see how I'll use white to, oh, there's the blue in there. Isn't that nice? Oh, yeah. All right. You get to a point where you start seeing shapes, and you have to work off those shapes. So again, I'm just doing the Payne's Gray wherever I can. And go as light. And what's different about this compared to a canvas is the fact that this is metal that's been sanded and it has teeth to it. So when I pull the brush, the canvas has a little tooth to it, but some of these are pretty big, and the paint will catch. Think of them as craters. And it'll hold the paint and give you spots, which we're not airbrushing here, so we don't want that. All right, paint this gray up here. Yeah, just kind of fill that in and go over there and create some depth using the dark. And it's looking more abstract as we continue. But you're making an abstract painting. Oh, we're going in the right direction. Taking a little titanium white here. Come here. A little titanium white and a little medium. We're going to put it on there like this. And do some hard edge. And then blend that over. Now, this is what I call cleaning the brushes. I got all this going on. You know, it's kind of like if you've ever made Easter eggs or seen somebody do it, inevitably the kids want to mix all the colors because they're getting bored. You know, they learn their basic color wheel, you know, yellow and blue make green and so on. But when you mix all the colors together, you get gray. So this is very cool how this is coming out. This burnt umber is great because there's a lot of patina on the car. And that just, oh yeah, looking good. All right, thank you, Freddie Prinz. And I got some in here as it goes flying off the brush. Which, by the way, off camera, when I was cutting brushes, I walked away and I got a little drop of burnt sienna on my shoe, my old shoe here. And I had a spotted floor. Yes. Okay. I want to just create some movement here. And don't worry, even though I'm covering the white, I will bring the white back and use it as a accent. But I have to do it once I get dry. Otherwise, we're just gonna have a gray panel, and we don't want that, do we? No. Okay. Again, I'm using a lot of medium, and you saw the palette how black this Payne's Gray is. I don't they call it Payne's Black, and it's light black. Is there such a thing as light black? No, I don't think so. Anyway, all right. Now we'll darken this up because this is a corner, and if you remember from the last video, we don't want to take your eyes to the corners. We want to take your eye back to the center of the universe, which is this door. In this case, yeah, black there. I may eventually just paint this flat black and have it end here. I don't really like this point. There's no point to have it. All right, now. All right, we're looking good. Yeah, okay, now I got a little burnt sienna here. And I'm gonna take it here, a little medium with the Payne's Gray mix and a little burnt sienna. And kind of go in there. Over that. I gotta definitely, I can see I've gone too dark here, but that's the great thing about painting is, as I've said, if you don't like it, you can just make it go away. this, soften this up, take your eye away from it, and then do an edge like that and like that. And even though you can see all these strokes I'm doing, that's half the fun when you get down, because you build off of them. You think of them as, you know, that's a building block, and then we'll do something in here. Like, I'll give you a quick example. It's really not dry enough to do it, but if I did a little titanium white and I went here, I can follow, that's mud, which we're not trying to keep. Too much orange there. All right, now that is really looking messy, which is perfect. Yeah. I think I need something in here to run the stripes. We'll catch your eye down here. We'll just go through there, lighten that up. And we'll go. The great thing about abstract is it's not symmetrical, it's not coherent, and you don't have to be coherent to paint. You can have a few brewskis or a martini or your favorite cocktail. Yeah, okay. That is coming together, not exactly how I want it. I know I have to lighten that up, but we have to let it dry. Otherwise, the whole thing's going to be great and defeat our purpose. So, be back shortly. It's been about 10 minutes, and I don't want this completely dry, but I did wash up my palette again, use the same one, and we are making a nice stew of various colors, which I'll mix up, add medium to, and I'll use it in this project or another project. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to give some effect to it. And yeah, I'll use this brush. Actually, I take that back. We're going to use one of these puppies right here. Yeah, that's a little wet too. Okay, here's a great thing. I prefer light bristled brushes over black. The reason being, it's easier to see the color that was previously used and how clean it is. Where the black one hides everything, you could go to something and go, yeah, hit a little white, and all of a sudden you're putting gray on because there was some black in there. So what we're going to do, and this is the reason for the towels, if you're doing this in your nice garage, this is my shop where I work on cars, you're going to want plastic down. But I have the towel so it'll absorb. So I'm going to get a little water going here. Come on, baby, come on. Okay, this is where I learned how to operate a water bottle. Okay. There we go. All right. Now I don't want mist. No. There we go. We want stream. And I'm going to stream it across and let the water just kind of do some runs. And you see how they are, and you can see how that, remember all that black? Well, what I'm trying to do is get it like lasers. Now and all the way down to the white primer. That's okay. What I'm trying to do is take my focal point away from this back. Just go like this. Getting hit with some hot stuff here. This is a great thing about abstract. See, and then I can go over it and then hit it again and let the water be your guide. Because when the next step, and don't worry about here, I'm just going to paint that flat black again. Where normally you put plastic down on your studio floor. And because it's not completely cured, I can have some runs and some color. And I really like that burnt umber there. Over there, hit it a little bit. This is pretty potent. I don't have to do it this strong, but yeah. Now it's even looking crazier. And what I'm going to do, I believe, is I'm going to take some blue and a little bit of medium and hit that. So that's what I'm going to prepare for, and I'll be right back. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes. In the meantime, what I did is on the palette, which is nice and clean, thank you, water bottle, for your assistance. Have some medium, and this is ultramarine blue, or ultramarina. Anyway, the reason I put the paints in the little plastic bag and say I'll use it later, it's a Ziploc bag. To give you an idea, this little Winsor Newton, this is ultramarine blue. This little tube is $5.25. It's less than a half ounce, 14 milliliters, which is 0.47 US ounces, less than a half ounce. It's $5. Painting is expensive, so you learn to reuse and innovate, like chip brushes, which I just cut with the scissor off camera. Now we got this, we got a nice thing going, and this is good. We're going to move our focal point more this way, and we're going to do that by using medium as opposed to large, just joking. Put some medium on the brushes, get a little bit of that blue, because that's a pretty blue. And just kind of put some movement in it, and then take my medium and just kind of, and now I'm going to wipe the medium off so I have kind of a dry brush, and go in there and go over it. So the color is in there, but it's not, got a nice edge there, I like that. But once I get it where I like it, then I kind of, you want, you know, a little choppy, a little crazy. So the blue is there, and if you notice, it's that blue is pulling your eye. Why? Because it's bright and it's good contrast. So we're going to put some in here, and put some there. I'm a big believer in, you gotta see that blue, the eye. The blue is, for some reason, the eye likes blue. I like blue eyes, especially when they're on top of a 510 to 511 frame, you know what I mean? Okay. So we're getting that, we're pulling that blue in, don't want too much, but that'll, you'll see what happens with the blue when we start using our next color, which we're going to use yellow ochre. And if you know your color wheel, blue and yellow make green. What's even nicer is, this is very wet, so we're getting a little mud. But yeah, that's going there, and I want not to be neglectful. All right, you get a little bit too, okay? There, you have happy now? Yeah. Yes. Okay, now, because of the brightness of the blue and the intensity, all of a sudden, this becomes more, wow, your attention is going there. So what we did is we gave it a light wash, just squirted it with water. That's a nice way of saying it. And then I've got gray up here, a little too much gray, but I'm moving with ultramarine blue, which I can do the edge and just kind of put it in there. You gotta realize I have masking tape on the edge, so that'll be a clean edge, and then I'll trim it in black. And we're gonna put a little back here. So it's dark, it's coming in. The attention is going there. I'll put some whites in here. In fact, I'm gonna put some white on there, some titanium white. So we'll take a quick break so I can find the white and show you what I'm gonna do. All right, I put a little zinc white on the palette, and what I've been doing for the sake of the camera, so you can see, is I'm using a lot more paint than I normally do. That's why I'm getting this little excess tray. Normally, you just need a little paint. Use a lot of medium. Make sure you always have medium, because you wind up using that a lot, because the paint does not have to be that thick, and you build layers. You don't want to just, again, you're not painting a wall. You want it on there almost translucent, and you keep building and building and building. So there's a lot going on here. It looks crazy, but believe me, it'll start looking cooler and cooler as we go on. But you have fun with it. All right, I'm putting medium on here. And this a little, in fact, this is zinc white again. The reason I'm using zinc white is I have a lot of it. I don't really use it a lot, so I'm going, I'll use it on this project. So we're gonna put some white in there. Again, I got a lot of medium, so it's diluted, and that's why it's milky. I mean, I can go heavy, like, well, not that heavy. I'm getting a little stringy, but that's okay. And what I'm doing is I'm just, because there's a wash that's going to go over this, and made the mistake, yes, I made a mistake once. I thought I was wrong, but this could be considered a mistake. And I'm putting more like Payne's gray in there. See, I got some sharp edges I can do with some blue right there and go right along that edge. And give it a blue. That'll look cool later. And like there's an edge there, we'll just kind of put some blue in there. And there's an edge there, so let's define it. There. So as you notice, the blue, when it hits the Mars black, it turns Payne gray, which is cool. And just do this blue up here. I really like this blue, so I have a tendency to use it a lot. Yeah, also school colors, what can I say? All right, and down here, and we'll do one this way. This I really don't like in here. So I'm just doing a stipple with the blue on the gray, just whatever. But if you'll notice, this is now darker, and this is the white, but this will change. But this still, with this raw umber, is the focal point, and I'm going to take some blue. You can't neglect this end. So put it in there. And oh yeah, it's looking very good. Very good. You can barely see the paint runs, but they're there. So what I'm going to do is, since I have the handy dandy cheap $1.98 polyethylene inflatable super saturated gospel 67 milliwatt spray bottle, I'm going to hit a couple. And that'll do that. So please subscribe. Thanks for watching. And on the next video, we're going to do some washes. I have to let this dry. Plus, I probably have to have a drink now.